There it is. Okay. Let us know when you're ready, Gene.
I'm ready.
Okay, going to call the meeting of the Planning Commission to order. We got tonight, myself, John Van Heis, we got Linda Taylor, our secretary, is here. Oh, no, she's a member now, that's right.
Just
She
a regular
bailed out on
person.
a secretary, I
Bailed
forgot.
it. Well, I
Michael, the
was
secretary is,
I was vice
Michael, our
chairman.
secretary is not here, he's down in Pennsylvania visiting family. Our vice chair, Scott Dale, is here. John Mara, our member, is here. And we have two alternates in attendance right now. We have Aga, she's brand new, Stepniak.
Yes.
Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, that's, give me a gold star for that
This
one.
is true.
And then we got Mark Lowengrub. Gart.
Yep, Lowengarten.
Lowengart. He's also an alternate. Now, our normal rule for alternates, because we have one member down, is the first one here gets to vote.
Yep.
That's our
She
normal rule.
arrived first.
And Aga was here first. However, it's her first night, and I don't know whether she really wants to vote tonight or not. If not, we'll give it to Mark.
Can I
We
give
need
it
one
to
more
Mark?
voting member.
Sure.
You want to vote tonight,
I'm gonna
or
give
you
it
want
to
to let Mark do it?
Okay, happy
Okay,
to do it.
Mark will do it, okay. And the next thing we're gonna do is look at the minutes of the last meeting and see whether anybody likes changes in it, or would like to make corrections, or make a motion to approve it.
I think I have one.
Okay,
5A regarding the I-84 letter.
5A.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it. The one most impactful, I just want to insert the word directly in there. Most directly impactful.
Where,
So. Oh, here.
I'm looking for, oh, okay.
Yep,
It's like, the,
directly impactful.
Just the word directly?
Yep, that's all.
okay.
Mhm.
Any other modifications or change? If not, I entertain a motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting as corrected.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
John seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda. Oh, text amendment from zoning on a moratorium for cannabis sales. It looks like what the plan, the zoning commission would like our opinion of extending the current moratorium that we've got on cannabis sales in Brookfield from a period of 12 to a period of 24 months, which would end, right now, it'd be 24 months from the date of May 17th, 2022, so it'd be 2024 when it'd be done. I know as a commission, when we discussed the cannabis moratorium about a year ago, we were sort of split and divided on that.
I believe we were 4-0. We were unanimous
Yeah.
in recommending that it only be 6 months at the time.
Yeah,
Right.
that's, well, we weren't in sync with the zoning commission, I remember that.
Right.
Okay, so discussion, anybody?
I'll voice that I do not support this. I think they've had 12 months to put together the regulations that are needed for this. I don't support an extension. I think that we should get to work on, again, putting the rules in place to allow where and how these things should be brought
Yeah.
forward to the town. So I would not be in favor of any extension.
Any other comments? Mark?
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think that at this point, I think it made sense to have the moratorium at the onset so that we could, have time to formulate regulations, but at this point, that hasn't happened, and I think it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
So
hasn't
another
happened.
moratorium is just like kicking the can
Right.
down the road,
And it's sort of kicking the can down the road is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Kick the cannabis down. the
Well,
road, right.
if
Go
I
ahead,
might.
John.
I know when we first addressed this, I was kind of for the 6 month. But as I sit and I see my wife's 17-year-old friends, or child and all of his friends, I think we need to look into different options. These kids right here, up and down throughout Brookfield, they're all smoking. And I'm not a big fan of it, personally. I mean, as an adult, you can do as you please, but we can't get our gas stations around here to stop selling cigarettes to 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds. I think we have to look into this a little deeper, see what type of restrictions, plus what type of penalties go along with this. As an adult, I mean, yes, that's fine. I think we should be collecting that tax money. But the problem is more societal for me because we're not dealing with the stuff that we're supposed to be dealing with now. And then we bring into another factor of this. I mean, there's kids drinking, smoking weed, and all this stuff now, and we can't get a control on that. I think if we have it here and it's closer and it's easier for them to get, it's not gonna make the problem any better. So I think another 24 months would be more than
Not
appropriate.
another 24, you mean another 12?
24 months.
Another
You
12.
mean another 12?
Another 12.
Oh, another 12.
Another
So
12.
24 in total, yes.
Yeah, it's total 24 total. They're extending it to May 16th, 2024.
Yeah.
See, I take issue that I don't think they've done any work on it yet. And, that when they presented it to us originally, at least my understanding was, they needed time in order to put together regulations. Up to this point, I'm not aware that any have been worked on. It's,
We follow their minutes every meeting.
and I don't see
They
anything
don't say anything
in there
about
at all. I
cannabis.
don't think there's
No.
been a subcommittee put together to put, any regulations in place. I think, time's up, it's time to put this stuff to work. And I appreciate what you're saying, I do. I deal with kids too in a lot of ways. But, as you say, we're not looking for a moratorium on liquor sales. We're not looking for a moratorium, town-wide on cigarettes, And I do put a lot of these things under the same boat, We're talking about one potential establishment that could sell this, how do we do it? How do we do it the right way? Let's stop, putting these moratoriums in place and actually put those rules in place so we can put it, so we can have those rules in place in case someone does come to us and wants to establish one of these things. We've got these things set up.
Yeah, well, I agree with John in the sense that I raised 6 kids in this town, and as teenagers, they smoked and they were drinking beer, so fortunately, they don't smoke now and they don't drink, well, one gave up alcohol altogether.
They've been
so-
doing that since the beginning of time.
So,
We all did
yeah,
it.
they just don't make it easier, so I think the moratorium should be go forth, as said, should expire.
Should
Oh,
expire.
here's their problem. They haven't done anything,
Mhm.
and it's gonna expire on May 16th.
So be it. Then,
Yeah, that's next month,
Yep.
yeah.
I wasn't, they should have done, they've had a year to put this in place.
Now I see why they. Yeah, and now they're talking about maybe it's starting to work.
I mean, do they come back to us another year from now and look forward to, for a further extension? At some point, you're really just trying to, impose some sort of ban, which I'm certainly not in favor of.
Okay. So do we want to send a note to the zoning commission saying that we are not in favor of the extension of the moratorium? And that we feel it's time for the zoning commission to put in place?
That's my feeling, but I'll let others talk.
I agree with Scott.
Yeah, I think at this point, they need to address it, and this will put a little bit more of an emphasis on the fact that it
Yeah.
should be addressed soon.
Soon.
Yeah.
Want to comment, Aga?
Yes, I'm sorry. I agree with John. And maybe not 12 months, maybe we can give them additional 6 months.
Okay, maybe an additional 6 months.
Instead of 12 months, we can give them 6 months to get everything
They
organized
should
and
get everything
done.
done in 6 months.
Oh, you
If they
think
start
6
now.
Well,
That,
maybe we
You know,
can
they may,
say,
well, they're talking about going to the town for a referendum. If they're gonna do a referendum,
that's up to them. That's separate from their duties of putting together these
Yeah.
regulations, as far as I'm concerned.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that that the new legislation in Connecticut allows for one establishment for every
Right.
25,000 residents in a town.
It'd be one for Brookfield.
Yeah, so Brookfield would qualify for one. And,
Mhm.
I mean, versus, I'm just thinking how this would play out in the long run. So there would be one establishment, in terms of, considering how new this is to the state of Connecticut, I think that there is more, emphasis on the regulations that surrounds, making sure that they're not selling to minors, and
Mhm.
there's more attention put on that sort of thing. So I would be a little surprised if a company or if a new business that has a license would risk losing their license
I doubt it.
so early in the game,
Mhm.
considering how competitive apparently it was to get this license.
Mhm.
So I would be pretty surprised if they were, going to risk that, something that's worth hundreds of thousands, if not in maybe even millions of dollars to get, if they would risk that by selling to minors. I would be a little surprised on that.
Just to the point of the 6 months, that was our recommendation a year ago, when they asked us for a full year.
okay.
Yeah, just in case you're not.
How about that? Do we wanna recommend an additional 6 months on the moratorium? Or you wanna go
I would
with
like to make a motion that we recommend 0.
0?
Yes.
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we respond we decline, or I guess we're not, we make a motion that we are not in favor of any further extension of the moratorium.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Got a second from Linda. Take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Nay.
John, okay. Fine. All right, that takes care of cannabis for this. Now, they sent us the lease for 8 Abbey Road. And quite honestly, I'm not sure why they did it, because when I
Me
got
either.
the selectmen's minutes, the Board of Selectmen had already approved the lease. So I don't know whether they did this for information only or not. I mean, I read the lease. It reads like a standard real estate lease, and it looks like, to me, that they're getting the guy who was running the place on 8 Abbey Road is probably getting a good deal. It's tough to get a house now for like $2,000 a month, and he's getting it for $1,600 a month. So my only comment is that I feel they could have raised the lease price rent up if they had desired to do it. Because in this real estate climate right now, there are very few rents available, and a higher rent could have been attained. But I think it was more for our information only,
We're not being asked to comment.
not being asked to comment.
Okay.
But I made a comment anyhow.
Okay.
All right, I think we're here for a lot line revision. We got Station Road, and it's in 87 Laurel Hill Road. It's a lot line revision. We got Alan Rothman and,
Robert and Nancy Martin.
okay, why don't you come on over and explain what's going on, guys, because like I told them before, our drawing is big that I
Now.
looked at. And now we got a drawing that's big, we can see what's going
Yes.
on.
Okay, so this lot, 19 Station Road, is a little over 200,000 square feet.
Now, is it a lot and there's no buildings on it now?
We're constructing this building and this building. It's under
Okay.
construction. We propose to give 702 square feet to the Martins. And that's really the only change. We're just moving the lot line from the dotted line to this line. And
Okay.
702 square feet out of 200 and over 200,000 square feet
And you're giving it to them for
nothing,
nothing.
yes. It's,
You want it?
Why not?
it's so that we don't have to go to court over an adverse possession issue. That would take years.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
instead,
Now I
we're
understand
just-
what's going.
we're just
Yeah, we
agreeing on-
had a situation where a guy was driving over somebody's yard for about 10 years, and they finally were able to claim that land for their own driveway. Yeah, so,
Kind of similar.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
Anybody got questions for these applicants?
Are you putting a swimming pool in that 750 square feet?
No, just leaving it.
You just leave it,
I think you're
yeah?
leaving it alone, right?
Yeah.
Leave it, let it
And
alone,
maybe some
okay.
shrubs.
Yeah.
So this is, all right. Any other comments from the commission? I'll entertain a motion. This one's very simple, guys. This is two neighbors that seem to be in agreement. And I'll give you my conditions later. I have no problem with the change. Had nothing adverse came out to say we shouldn't do it. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the lot line revision as presented to us.
I'll make the motion to accept the lot line revision as given.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second from Linda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, just
Yes.
a little bit of attorney gave us thing, when it's a lot line revision between neighbors,
Yeah.
okay? When the planning commission approves a lot line revision between two neighboring property owners, it should condition approval upon the fact that the chairman, me, will not sign the Mylar map until the applicants provide two original deeds, properly prepared and signed conveyance tax forms. I think you got some of this stuff already in the
We have
packet.
the proposal deed. I don't know if you have any comments to that.
No.
And we have the tax,
Forms.
tax.
And the
form.
Mylar,
Yes.
and a check to cover the cost of recording both deeds and Mylar in the Brookfield land records. Deed number 1 should be from Mr. Smith conveying parcel X to Mr. Jones, and second deed should be from Mr. Jones to Mr. Smith conveying parcel Y, but there's no Y, he's not doing a puzzle, so.
Right.
The ball's in your court.
Okay, so two originals, one Mylar.
Can I take a picture with your phone of that letter? Would that help you?
Yeah, no, actually, I think I got the letter.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, or I got something from the land use department.
Oh, okay, probably
Okay.
very similar to that.
Okay.
Okay,
I also, this go into the record?
We have that, don't we? And we have the Mylar here.
Yeah.
Do we need another copy, or can he keep this?
no, they gave us one that was readable finally.
Yeah.
Okay, that must have been CCA that gave it.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, that was probably CCA.
yeah, yes. Okay,
So,
okay, terrific.
all right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
thank you, guys. Enjoy your new land.
I know.
You know what you just did? You saved him some tax dollars.
I don't think so.
Well, you increase, his lot's bigger, they're gonna raise his, they're gonna raise it.
We stayed out of court and everybody's happy. That's what we're good.
Hey, he's gotta get a little more tax, cause the lot's a little bigger.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
guys,
Have a good
have a
night.
good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Now we come to the fun part. Let's see where we are. All right. Other business. Oh, yeah, I-84 proposed DOT improvements. We've been going around and around the last couple of days on that because it looks like things fell through the cracks in our administrator's offices there, but are we squared away as far as that letter?
I
now?
believe we are, yeah, so we have a signed version. And, I'll forward it to the contacts at DOT.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Mhm.
Status of the commissioner training courses completed. Ah, yes. I don't have the website with me, because Aga's gonna need to know about it. And Mark, have you taken any of those courses?
I tried to, but I wasn't able to get access to it.
I had trouble too,
Yeah, it told me it wasn't available.
right? I
Not
had-
available?
Yeah.
Why don't you,
Because I thought I was going to the wrong website, and then I emailed Christine here to see if she could give me the link again, and it told me it was unavailable
I know, I
at
had
this
trouble
point.
too.
why don't we send a little note to Rochelle to take a look into this training courses status, because we got several members who would like to take the classes, and they're having trouble getting in. Maybe she could help resolve that issue.
Yeah, they did say it was supposed to be available.
Yeah.
Scott and I are
found
done.
something, but I don't know what the heck it was.
Scott
It
and I
was
are
all these
done.
questions and answers.
but-
I don't know if that was it or not.
And right now, it's, I don't know how Michael did or not on it, but she should send it out to the whole commission when she has it.
Corey, at the last meeting, he said he had completed one, I don't know, in the last month.
Did you, you did more than one,
We
didn't
did
you?
all three.
Yeah, he
No,
did all
Yeah.
three.
Mike,
Oh, Mike.
Mike had just.
Yeah,
opened.
okay.
Great, yeah.
Okay. All right. Review of commissions, other minutes of other commissions, okay. Let me get to that pile. Quick claim. All right, these are old minutes here. February 23rd zoning commission. Da, 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 da. And under old business, item number 7, 70 Stony Hill Road, that's the one that Neil Marcus came to us.
Oh, yeah.
In
Yep, yep.
executive session, we had talked about trying to settle a suit between them and our commission, and he went to zoning with this, and it looks like they made a motion to continue the discussion of that particular application. So nothing really happened on it at that time. They also tabled discussion at that meeting on the 202 Candlewood Lake Road versus the Danbury Slovak Gymnastic Union School, Sokol, which we had discussion for a couple meetings here, and we told them they were gonna have a public hearing, and I guess they did on March 9th. We have those minutes in the pile here, we'll get to them a little bit later. So that's all that came out of that. Any comments on the minutes of zoning of February 23rd? If not, I'll move on. Moving on. Board of Selectmen's minutes, March 6th. They talked about vacancies on various boards, including ours, planning. And at that meeting, they made a motion to, it's here someplace. Appointment. Oh, yeah. They made a motion to appoint our new member, Aga Stepniak, to be an alternate on the planning commission, and it carried unanimously. And they've started work on the 20 Station Road remediation and redevelopment grant. That's moving along. They had a special town meeting, which I guess we have no minutes of it, for March 16th on that remediation project. According to the paper, it has moved forward. And there's, under residential lease agreements, where they approve the lease that was forwarded to us. And that's all on, nothing really else jumped out on the Board of Selectmen meeting. Okay. Next set of minutes are the charter revision minutes. Of, looks like February 23rd. And it was a final. And at that meeting, they went through things that they were recommending to go to the Board of Selectmen. I assume they're in the Board of Selectmen's office now. And one of the items they had was item number 4, which was
Yeah.
they're talking about, they feel these two commissions merging these two commissions was in the best interest of Brookfield. Additionally, we voted that the combined commission consists of 7 members instead of 5. Recommended changes to our existing charter are referenced later in the document. So they're talking about that.
Question or a comment on that, I guess. You guys, I guess, went to a couple of those meetings.
One.
Or one, okay.
Right.
Was there ever like I don't know, like usually when you make a change or recommend a change or say there's gonna be advantage, there'll be a cost savings or, the process will be improved or.
Can we discuss that on the informal?
On this particular comment?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Why don't we discuss it on the informal discussion? That's all I'm saying.
okay.
Okay? Because because that, we might go on for a while on that one.
Oh, okay. I only had my one quick one, but it's fine. Yeah, no problem.
You can make your point, and then we'll go on from there.
Sure.
Because, and they made a lot of changes on that. I'm not gonna go through all of them to do, but it may be worthwhile to see what they're proposing for the new charter. Because they're talking about adding positions to the Board of Assessment, term limits. They got rid of that idea, by the way.
I see that, yeah.
And I guess a chairman could now be chairman forever if he wants to be, or if
That'd be
the
like
board
you.
decides and makes that
Yeah.
be. I don't know about that. Anyhow, so we'll go back to discuss Scott's point a little bit later, okay? About the merging of the commissions.
Sure.
Next set of minutes were the zoning board of appeals meeting on March 6th. And this is all basically residential activity that they were talking about, none of which really concerned our commission. Typically, it was people trying to get variances for building decks or sheds. So it's pretty much business as usual for them. And on March 6th, we had the next zoning meeting. They had their public hearing on the 202 Candlewood Lake Road in Danbury Slovak Gymnastic Union School. The chairman had to recuse himself because he had been a member of the Sokol Lodge, so they did that. They had quite a few folks speak for it, and they had basically the lawyer and the property owners speak against it. And other points were made, and where they are right now is they made a motion to continue the public hearing. The application was made to last to March 23rd, 2023, so we haven't seen those minutes yet. But they still are discussing it, at least as far as we know, that issue, which
Still.
we don't have to discuss anymore. And they also took up item number 7, old business, 7 Stony Hill. Their attorney, Neil Marcus, went through what they thought was The history of this, they said there was no formal application in front of the zoning commission, but it was his hope that the zoning commissions would simply look at the plan and see if there's any public health and safety concerns. In the end, they said, Mrs. Schellenberg, our attorney for the planning commission, reported that she and Neil Marcus were now awaiting mediation hearing to resolve certain issues. She added that depending on how the outcome of the mediation hearing, the applicant may or may not come before the zoning commission with the application at a later time. I mean, we approved it, but our attorney at that time, Tom Beecher, had recommended that zoning approve it also. So that's the reason why this whole thing got, Mr. Marcus, who was the attorney for the applicant, disagreed with that, and that's how come the suit came about. So, and they made a motion right now, because the statements that were made, they removed the application from their agenda. Any other discussion of item, let me see what else. Oh, motion, oh, no, no. They made a motion on the text amendment we just talked about, the cannabis one. That carried 4-1-0. Okay, they said, yeah. That's about it. Any other discussion of the zoning commission minutes of March 9th? And then we got the Economic Development Commission minutes of March 21st. Chairman Fisher noted that the town's plan of conservation and development needed attention from the commission, would be due soon. We haven't put any pressure on them. The due date for the next POCD is gonna be year 2025. He mentioned that there were issues the EDC should be addressing, and discussion opened up around what to add to the POCD. Well, we'll see what they do. If they want to start early, that's fine. It is a tedious process when we go through it. Ribbon cuttings, on the ribbon cuttings and grand openings, community events. There are having meetings going on the block party. They're very optimistic about the group planning a block party, and they hope to have that sometime during the, what was it?
What is June 4th?
Sometime during the summer, I guess.
June 4th.
They're gonna have a food court, music, beer, et cetera. Oh, I hope they get a license for that beer. Okay. There's also gonna be an information meeting on the streetscape number 4. It's scheduled at Town Hall in room 133, which is here, on April 12th. Informational meeting about what's going on in phase 4. Had a discussion of 20 Station Road, which is the building that's being remediated. And they discussed the sewer moratorium relative to that. And it was noted that the sewer moratorium would not be lifted until the end of 2024, so the project would not continue. So, okay, and let's see. Yeah, and then he discussed the expansion of broadband service. I was asking everybody to do a survey. He mentioned the meeting that we had today at noon time. 3 of the members of the planning commission did attend that meeting by internet. Myself, Scott, and John.
I was in person, just so you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you were in person. That's right, I heard your, yeah, he was behind the camera. You didn't want to be on camera.
I'm shy.
I don't have a camera on my computer, so,
I had to duck out early. 'cause
yeah, well, I
had
didn't
another meeting.
care.
Yeah.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah. So that's all the minutes that we got there. Now we'll go back to informal discussion. Now, you want to talk about something there, Scott, so go ahead.
No, a comment or a question.
Sure.
you guys may be more aware of it than I am, but because I didn't go to their meetings, I wasn't able to. But they say that the comment is we felt combining these two commissions was in the best interest of Brookfield. Do we know, like, how they came to that conclusion?
No.
Is it?
Their minutes are very sketchy,
I
as
guess,
you know.
yeah, was there an analysis, like, if you're changing a process, usually you look at the pros and cons and all that stuff. I'm not aware of anything that took place. I was wondering if anything
No,
else was.
as far as I know, and for your information, as far as they made these final recommendations, the planning commission, I don't know about zoning, was never formally invited to ever attend the Charter Revision Commission, which to me, it seems to be, if you're gonna make a major change, like combining two commissions, I would think you would at least have the chairman or members of each commission be able to discuss what was going on and what their opinion is. As far as I know, right now, it's under review by the Board of Selectmen. They can accept the recommendations and not accept the recommendations. At some point, they'll schedule a referendum. Usually, I was on 2 previous charter revision commissions back in the 90s and early 2000s. They usually have a major public hearing, and the last one they had was held over in Wisconsin, and they had an auditorium probably half full, and their auditorium is fairly good size, to discuss the changes. And they ended up, I believe, defeating that charter revision. It did not go through. So whether this is going to actually happen in reality, I don't know. If they have that public hearing, obviously it'd be a good time if anybody feels. I made my pitch, and I think the workload is going to be very heavy for the new members that come in. The workload is going to be, not only do you have to know the regs for planning, you also have to know the regs for zoning. And then on top of that, you're gonna have to do the affordable housing report that is required every 5 years. And you're gonna have to prepare the POCD on top of that. So the only negative complaint I heard during that, when they had a public hearing, the initial public hearing was from the land use manager was complaining about workload here. Said having 2 meetings a month and that workload. I think we have taken steps to lighten the workload by having 1 meeting a month, as other towns do. And I don't know. We'll see what happens, guys. We have to see how the process plays out.
I know for my job, like, a lot of times I have to go in and, I have to change things. I gotta change how we do things and the process and all of that. I know if I just submitted something to my boss and just said, I just feel it'll be the best for the company, they're gonna ask for a little more, like, really?
Yeah.
Is there a cost savings? Is there a cost to implement it? Is there a risk involved? I guess that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, well-
And I don't know if it exists, honestly. If it does, I'd be interested to see it.
Yeah. On the broadband thing, they're looking at Economic Development Commission has invited a group in. I'm not sure what the name of the company is right now, Entry Systems or something like that. But they looking to do fiber optics across the whole town, and have the town run it as a public utility. And they see opportunity for significant cost savings over the cable companies that are providing service at the present time. And their presentation gave a lot of the pros and cons of what fiber optics are. On a personal note, I have a fiber optic system in Florida. When it was implemented, I was able to get rid of, I didn't have an internet service. I couldn't get one. Well, no, I did have one, but it kept crapping out on me. So it was terrible. I had a terrible internet service, but I had a landline and a TV service, and it cost me, I had 3 companies involved. I went to one company, a broadband company called Summit Broadband, and the initial charges 5 years ago was $28 a month. And over the 5 years, they've gone gradually up, and the last increase was due to the hurricane down there. It did impact some of their infrastructure, and they had to raise rates. We're up to $39 a month right now for landline, TV, and internet. So there can be savings with fiber optics if it's done properly. Any other informal discussion?
Were there any
guys?
other details that were provided, or it's more of a wait and see?
Well, I think,
They're,
go ahead, John.
they're really in the very, very beginning stages of this. We do have broadband in the area, but it's owned by the cable companies and the phone company. So regardless, we're still gonna have to have a certain amount of reliance on either of those companies.
Yeah,
But basically, it's all pondering right now. Like, you know, they're not anywhere near, we're looking at maybe 10 years being anywhere near close to even doing anything about this. Because they want to bring it to each home individually.
Yep.
Now, like in Florida, being able to bring it to each home is a little easier.
Yeah.
Their actual land down there is easier to
Yeah,
dig
let me
through.
explain the
Little flatter
situation.
down there.
It was I'm in a community, a golf course community, which has a series of condominiums and single-family homes.
Right.
So it was very easy for them. All they had to do was get to one main access box in each condominium.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, then they split out 30 lines. Each condominium had 30 units, so. Boom.
Yeah.
And they were able to do 925 residents that way.
Right, so the next step is to do another,
And I got a little more study.
what's the
in
word
there
I'm
to
looking for? Another study, big words, engineering study, and basically, you know, it's gonna cost more money. And they bill it $250 an hour, the company that's trying to
Yeah.
pitch us this. So this is the first company trying to pitch us broadband. It's not like we went looking for them, they came looking to
Came
us
looking to us.
because they're doing studies for Ridgefield and I believe New
New
Fairfield
Fairfield,
right now.
yeah.
So,
okay.
Did they mention anything about the existing broadband infrastructure that's in the town? Because I know, for example, every public school in Connecticut has fiber optics already installed. So would they tap into the existing fiber optics?
well,
that-
that's what I was saying about it being owned by the cable company or the phone company, because the fiber optics still come via the poles and the wires.
Mhm.
So they would have to, we basically would have to lease the rights to the fiber optics from these companies in order to get it to the rest of our
Yeah.
community. Right now, I believe the state picks up, or the federal government picks up to get it to the schools and the hospitals and stuff like that. I think the money's granted to them, the schools from the state and the federal government.
Yeah, I guess it would be interesting to look at how the costs get transferred, because obviously, if there are fiber optics available at a high speed and a lower cost, and to the, you know, there would be a lot of incentive for Brookfield residents to leave Charter or Frontier or whoever they currently use, and if Charter and Frontier own the infrastructure, you know, they don't want to see their customers just get up and leave and go to the public
Well,
utility. So how would they,
Good question.
how would they recoup the loss from that? And it would probably be from the lease. So I don't know what the cost savings would really be in the end.
Well, I think the way I interpreted it, and I could be totally wrong, I was struggling to stay awake for a part of it, is that in order for us to have complete access and it be ours totally, as far as a town, is that we have to dig the lines in. So like wherever it's coming from, say Hartford, I believe is our interchange or exchange, there's basically hubs of where the broadband comes into in the fiber optics. So we would have to find out where the closest from Hartford is, whether it be in Danbury or whatever, where we would tap off of that from the main source of the fiber optics.
Oh, yeah.
But for it to be ours, what they say, there was a PPP. What the heck is that?
That's your regular provider. That's the regular provider.
Well, the PPP would be public-private partnership.
Yeah,
So we would try to get a company to join us in doing it, and they would take some of the profit off of whatever it is, versus having city-owned or town-owned would cost us a great deal more. But if we picked up a partner somewhere, basically, it would still be private but public, you know. So, like I said, it's in the very early stages.
early.
Too early to really assess.
Stay tuned, there'll be more
Right.
presentations. If you missed today,
Yeah.
you'll be able to catch up in the future.
They do have another meeting apparently scheduled for, I wrote it down here somewhere. At least I thought I did, next Thursday.
Well,
So, but there were no details on what time it was gonna be or
No.
anything like that.
we didn't get details until
But-
yesterday, to be honest.
The way I kind of took where we are was basically, you know, you're hanging out with your buddy at the bar and you're like, hey, this is a great idea. I think that's where we are in this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you
So-
guys summed it up pretty well.
And,
I-
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so there's this, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but there's something called the Connecticut Education Network. And when I mentioned before how every K through 12 school that's public in Connecticut has fiber optic already, they own all of the fiber optic infrastructure. So it might be buried, it might be, you know, they might just own the line and have some sort of lease agreement with the companies that own the poles. But there's already, like in Brookfield, especially like on the roads that lead up to the schools, there already is fiber optic infrastructure. So I wonder if they would work with those, with this group called the Connecticut Education Network and possibly share that infrastructure, or would they have redundant infrastructure?
That question
in
was
place?
asked about sharing infrastructure, and it was really, I don't think they really answered that very well.
what,
That's,
he brought up basically what you were saying about the leases on the poles.
Yep.
And basically, because not every pole is owned by the cable company,
Yep.
like there's poles that are owned by MTA and, you know, different sources. So there could be 4 different poles ownership on one leg of road that you would have to get individual leases to run your fiber optics through. So it's like individual leasing, like leasing each one of these chairs from a different member of our community,
no, I get what you're saying.
you know?
That'd
So,
be good.
but yes,
We
Like,
can
I
make
guess
money that way.
as a case study, I would say like, so like Long Meadow Hill, that's where the high school is. Like, I would be curious to know who owns the fiber optics that are leading to the high
So would I,
school.
because I live on Long Meadow Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, guys? Linda, why don't you make your motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Got a motion to adjourn on the floor. Is there a second from somebody?
I'll second.
Oh, Mark jumps right in. All those in favor?
Aye.
Show your mics down, please.
Thank you very much for attending.